Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you for tuning in for this Polyhedra show Q&A. And thank you to our community for all the amazing questions. Again, another 500 rolled in. We're really excited to get to some of these questions. And again, some great insights and questions. So I'm going to bring up Sam to the stage. Thanks for joining us again today, Sam.
Where was my mute button? Hey, Tony, how you doing, man?
Sorry, Matt. I think you're muted. I'm good, man. How you doing?
Perplexity, Comment, Google Chrome, Safari. I've got I'm cooking it, across 8 different platforms right now. So no, great to be here, man.
Man, we've been busy. It's been a busy week. It's been a busy month, but an especially busy week. So yeah, really excited for this Q&A. And again, thanks for the community for bringing all of the questions. Sam, let's dive into it, man. I think we'll start with Egg, right? So first of all, we had some updates. So we got some questions about what's new with Egg, what's changed since the last major update, and how creators are using it.
Great. So so we launched 2.0 last week, which was really exciting in terms of the fact of adding those kind of crypto-centric monetization tools, in terms of CoinMaster and CoinDrop or EggDrop. Please correct me if I'm wrong there. I've got a lot of names in my head, but yeah, those are 2 really important tools to be able to create liquidity for Egg users, plus kick up airdrops for your kind of micro communities that sit inside the Egg platform. And then this week we have Egg version 3 coming out, which is super exciting. So with Egg 3, I think a lot of you were talking about ZK payments. So again, creating big utility and for our users. So we're going to be supporting USDT and ZKJ payments on ETH and BNB chain, and ZKJ payments will receive a 20% discount. So the same notional value in ZKG yields earns more GE. And then with wallet support, we're going to be compatible with OKX wallet, Coinbase wallet, and Binance wallet. So this is 3 version update, and then the team in the background are cooking all these great APIs and generation tools for you guys. So we've been building fast and getting there, and I'm actually really pumped on our progress.
Awesome, Matt. Yeah, it's exciting to see how quickly we're accelerating, and that does answer actually the next 2 questions, which was will Egg have its own native token, or will the transactions be powered by ZKJ? I think you just covered that there.
ZKJ. Yes. Yeah, all of these products that we're building are being built to drive value back to ZKJ and our token holders.
Absolutely, and with all the system updates and tech updates, I think we've seen a lot of people commenting about the pump, and I think that's reflective of everything that we've been doing. So obviously, ZKJ as well as other stable coins will be for everybody that's asking those questions. A lot of questions in that vein. So really cool. There was a question, I think you just touched on it there, about the opportunities for early adopters to Egg. How they can benefit financially. I think you did touch on it there. Obviously, the 20% discount for ZKJ stakers and holders. Will there be any other?
More than that, I think the whole plan is obviously we're in testnet, we're in kind of really early stage building. Once we can really drive monetization, there'll be a really clear kind of revenue model going back to stakers. But again, we need to get that product to the point where we're all really comfortable and excited about being able to take it to mass audience, and then hopefully our community who have made great agents can really pump that through their friends and get more users and grow this. And, we'll be looking at lots of different kind of marketing techniques to make this into a really important product for the ecosystem. So yeah, I think that's very, that's a great question that we think a lot about. And obviously opening up ZKJ, adding more utility to the token. But honestly, like the big idea is to make this a really big kind of end-to-end platform so anyone can create and monetize.
Absolutely, man. And I know, like, on all the meetings I've had with you and the management team, that's been the main thread, right? Is how can we reward ZKJ holders and stakers, and that's really the main like priority here beyond the amazing tech that we're building out. So I just wanted to comment on that because I think that's important that everybody knows, from my perspective, especially being in on some of these meetings. So awesome, man. Really, really great. Really, really cool. So you talked about integrations. You talked about the APIs that are coming up. Are there any major partnerships in the pipeline the community can be excited about for the remainder of the year? Maybe that's a bit of alpha. Maybe we can't talk about that too much. But in terms of direct integrations into Egg, anything you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean we're integrating Pika, Luma, VO3, suite of Google products and other laundry list of others. So and then also some native stuff that we're working on as well, in terms of Polyhedra, Polyhedra native products. So yeah, it's exciting, man. Egg truly is the first time I feel like we've had a product that anyone with no skills can come and use and try and and kind of grow their business. So that's super exciting from my perspective.
Yeah, totally. As a user of Pika and as a user of VO3, I can say I'm really excited about that. And I can see the roadmap, ahead with, especially with zero knowledge, like the importance of being able to verify and, to prove provenance. There's so many kind of verticals there, which I'm really excited about personally, as a creator. And I can see these verticals that are playing out, and I've kind of seen other people in my space comment on, but don't really know about yet. Again, like solving these problems before they become a problem it's an interesting dynamic, right? But super cool. So, all right, let's I digress. Let's keep moving on. So we had a lot of questions about how these partnerships will directly benefit the ZKJ ecosystem. I think that speaks for itself. We've seen that just in the past.
And then also,
week.
Tony, once we have these partnerships with Luma and Pika, and they'll co-market with us as well, and be driving huge awareness to their audiences, which will hopefully introduce some people to ZKJ and our ecosystem for the first time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool, man. Very, very cool. So we had a question here, which is a bit of a long tail question, but I think it's a good one, which is ZK Bridge powers over 21 million cross-chain transactions. Could Egg Party combine ZK Bridge with ZKML to process cross-chain player data? So
definitely.
Totally. But I love that.
Roadmap.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I love that question because it is in the roadmap, and I wanted to draw some attention to that. Like in terms of leaderboard sharing. I mean, whether it's Ethereum, Solana, Crossbridge, while also keeping your computations private, whether it's map sharing, especially as we're coming into like avatars and gaming. I think it's really cool, that this our whole our Egg has this whole ecosystem, our whole stack inbuilt, right? So it's got it's secure and it's also got verifiability, but it's also cross-bridge. So very, very cool in terms of that space and watching that space. I mean, I did the video on what's just happened in the past week and commenting on Genie 3. well, I can't wait to see what people do with that, man. And but being able to verify and also prove provenance over what you've created, without it just being hijacked is such like the space is going to blow up, and there's a need for that there. It's a very nuanced thing now that people may not see, but it's such a great question. I love that question. So thank you again to the community.
No, man.
All right, man.
Thank you, man. I'm equally as excited. So yeah, no, let's keep cooking.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. It's super exciting, bro. Okay, let's move on to our major launch. We've talked about this earlier. TC's talked about this. ZKML identity product. So we've hinted at this before. I know that this has been in development for a long time. Sam, can you just speak to a little bit of the idea or break down the core idea behind this ZKML powered identity play?
Yeah, I mean, no, thanks, man. No, we're super excited about this. This is our first product, our production ready product. For ZKML, which is a technology that Jiaheng and Tianchen have been, focusing around since 2019. I mean, so this is our ID, product, and the world has changed, and AI can generate perfect human faces. Deep fakes are undetectable, and on the second side of that, biometric data is sensitive. So, how do you prove that you're real in like a safe manner? So yeah, that's the product that that we're focused on. And your identity is actually your most valuable asset as a human, and you're going to have to prove your identity. Either that comes from regulation. If you look at what's happening in in Australia with government requiring all social users to present like a government ID to prove that you're over 15, for instance. And then in different other industries that are sensitive, that want to be age restricted, they're making you prove your identity through passports or other mechanisms. Like that's insane. This is actually the perfect use case of a mathematical algorithm being ZK that proves the information's real, but keeps the information private to you and only exposes the details that are needed to the government or to the or the centralized platform or whatever. So that's a huge use case for us. So we have a huge focus on enterprise adoption. You can look at our competitors as Persona and World, in the sense of that we're blending our approach where we think ours is incredibly scalable. So you can capture, embed, prove, verify it basically. And yeah, this is going to hopefully, be one of the key elements to the humanity crisis.
Totally, man. Like it's, like we're both Australian, we're both Aussie, Sam, and in case any of you can't hear our accents, but like it's interesting. I haven't been back to Australia in a while, and I'm not sure how far along this is pushed through, but it is also, like I did read also they're bringing the same thing into the UK, a similar kind of a system of verification needed, but it always makes me think, first of all, like it makes me think of 1984, but then like then I think as Zhenfei has talked about on previously, ZK technology is where it's at now. It's the most quantum proof cryptography that's out there. Like the current systems of security that we have and cryptography that are regulating banking, most of government, and we all know government can be a bit slow as opposed to private enterprise. So giving all of that information in terms of like your identity, I mean your biometrics, it's kind of a bit scary. To give that to our bureaucracy, as much as it's well intentioned, it's like, well, like, are you guys actually keeping up with the pace of private enterprise in terms of safety and security, or can that be hacked with quantum, for example? So and from everything that I'm reading, it's such a big, it's a visceral thing. It's like, wow, okay, like, how much of my identity, even with banks and government, am I giving? Like, if we can just secure it with ZK, it makes more sense. And then also, like, as Zhenfei pointed out, man, like, with ZK, we can also start evolving that with quantum. And then, it'll never be able to outpace. Well, that was my understanding. We'll have to get Zhenfei back on to do a deep dive on
Zhenfei and TC on next week, both of them.
So, yeah. Looking forward to hearing from them again, man, because I love everything that they're doing.
Tony, I've got to run for I have to run for 2 minutes, so maybe you can answer a question quickly yourself.
Sure, I'll go for it. All right, guys, and you're back with Tony. Well, let me jump into some more of these questions. So some of them that let me have a look with, some that maybe Sam can answer better or I can answer. Okay, here's a really good one. So how can Polyhedra's ZKML solutions be applied to industries like education or environmental sustainability? And are there any pilot projects in these areas? If you've been following me at all, you know that I work a lot in impact marketing, fundraising for impact companies. I've done this for the last decade. And so this is a really important piece for me, and it's a reason why I joined the Polyhedra team, and I was so excited to join the Polyhedra team, because I saw this as such a huge differentiator between, whatever wedge, as opposed to what everyone else was doing. And in terms of education, I think we've all seen, there's been some rapid announcements around different countries, introducing AI as part of their curriculum. We've seen AI being integrated as, a part of the teaching stack. I personally have a lot of friends in Australia. Shout out to Matt Faulkner if you're watching. Who work as teachers, and it's hard, man. Like, they have to now have master's degrees. They have to jump through a bunch of hoops. They don't get paid as much as they should. And, they've got to navigate having to work with 20, 30 kids at once. It's a big problem. And having these, AI tutors come in is a great solution, so people can learn at their own pace. But, like, that's sensitive data. This is like, you can't be sharing, this is kind of, again, harking back to 1984. It's like, you don't want the wrong people getting their hands on that kind of sensitive data of if it's your like one of your kids who's at school, you don't want that being shared or being hacked or whatever it is. So ZKML can, privatize, well, not ZKML specifically, that also has a lot of applications, but ZK itself can privatize that information. You can have proof, for example, of where you studied, what you studied, what your scores were, without all of that being public. So you can, have proof of education or proof of knowledge, like, I know what I know, and here's some proof. On the sustainability side, so many applications, like being able to prove, environmental credits. There's a whole bunch of stuff in Web3, people doing interesting stuff there. But, you don't want to expose, confidential data if you're an enterprise solution. If you're an enterprise company and, you're working with certain suppliers, you want to be able to prove to your customers, like, hey, I'm working with, ABC, who are all sustainable, suppliers, as opposed to these guys. But you don't want to be proving the whole supply chain. Like, you can't be making that whole visible, because then you get into all kinds of regulatory issues. You get into trouble with, as a CEO, you're not allowed to be giving away confidential data, but it opens the door to being able to prove that to your customers without having any regulatory issues, any legal issues, with your board or whatever it is. So, also provenance tracking, huge thing. AI coupled with and if you can improve provenance from where the product started to where it finished, and that you had a sustainable or regenerative supply chain along the way, that's an amazing thing, and I think it's a great thing for humanity. So that is a great question. Thank you so much, whoever asked that. I've actually lost the tags here.
Great answer, Tony.
Thank you, man. He's back. Hold up. Let me bring you in here, Sam. Thank you, man. Yeah, that's what I'm really passionate about.
Massive on the screen as well.
Yeah, I'm up in the mountains today, so in a different space.
Man, looking good there.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, I love that question. I was super stoked I got to answer one myself, because that's one I'm really passionate about, Sam.
Yeah. Awesome.
But let's talk about ZK-GPT, man. So we've had obviously the paper came out by the guys. I'd say, like a major attributor to the pump, and what an amazing paper, and really proving out what we're doing. But if anyone hasn't dove into this and know what it is, maybe Sam, you can just give a brief overview of ZK-GPT.
Oh yeah, this is a really important product. It's basically it's a zero knowledge proof framework for verifying LLM inference. So it basically lets a provider prove that a specific model, e.g. ChatGPT-5, produce an output without revealing the model weights using optimization. It's like constraint fusion and circuit squeeze to make proofs practical for LLM layers. So this is going to be super important. I mean, just for like in layman's terms, like look at all the kickback that OpenAI and ChatGPT have got since the release of 5, right?
Yeah.
Is that, are they using the right model?
Good question.
And who do you trust? I mean, to date, AI trust has been like, oh, I know Sam Altman, or I know Elon. I'm going to trust these guys with all my data and all my secrets, and it's interesting. I'm going through looking at tax residency, for instance, and the amount of misinformation and everything that's on the, if I search on Claude, ChatGPT, Grok, they're all producing different information around really key kind of information around specific details to me. I'm also choosing to put that information into these models, that is sensitive about income and tax and personal details about me. And that's obviously a risk that I'm willing to take to get as much information as possible. But, when it comes to having a robot in my house looking after kids, or, around my family, or, or if I'm going into if I'm getting a CAT scan and AI is running the kind of model on, if it says I've got something in my brain, you need ZK-GPT, and that's that's why sometimes it's frustrations, right? Of like, when I'm reading in the community on like the misconceptions around what we're building, like read that paper. This is future shit. This is some of the smartest minds in the world that, written by one of our co-founders with multiple of our staff members that are producing this just world-class high-level research that we'll then take as a team and implement that into production-ready products. So, it takes time, takes time to research, 100%. It takes time to deploy, but everyone that's here now is going to see like just a huge input of an output of of this research turning into production ready stuff.
Totally, man. I've even noticed, you got to question, like, is it like, like even with GPT, with VO3, one day it'll be even on depending on the hour. If you're giving it copy to input into something, it'll work fantastically for VO3, for example. And then like another day, it's not. It just can't. It's hallucinating all over the place. You're still paying the same amount of money per prompt. You're still using the same amount of tokens, and it's like, I like, is it overload on the system, or if there is, because there's only so much compute. These things are running, they're kind of maxing out, and that's why they're rapidly building this infrastructure. But you got to ask, like, why is it that all of a sudden, you're hallucinating everywhere, unless I try and use some, super kind of granular prompt engineering, which you have to rely on sometimes, and most of the time you really do.
Yeah.
But I mean, just for everybody else, it's like, for everybody who, like, it's like, well, you're probably, it's most likely, I'm not saying it is, but maybe it's deferring to a previous model, or a model that has less overload on it. But you don't know. Like, all you see is the output, and it's like, well, this is kind of crap. Like, now it's going to take me maybe 5x the amount of time to get the same amount of output I wanted, but I'm spending the same amount of credit, like 10x credits.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, like, I want to know, like, have you, if you have like had to, like, if there is information overload, I understand, like computational capacity. If we did reach that point, that's fine. Just wait and then do it, or just tell me that you're dropping to a lower state model, and then charge me less, But
that's it. I mean, that's it's another thing. I mean, it's cost cutting. Cost cutting, and yeah, man, I think it's all, yeah, man, I think yeah, I'm good to know about, I'm really keen to see this in production, man. Like the robot in the house, and I get to hit a button to see if it's like polyhedra ID'd properly, and implement that into all robotics platforms. And whether the robotics or the health tech or any of these guys like it or not, just like in my tweet last week, I spoke about having seatbelts in cars.
We had some questions about this,
So I want to know that I want to know that I'm safe.
100%.
Then how long did it take to get airbags? How long did it take to get like other the quest for safety and compliance in every other industry except for AI is paramount. So it's just very hard for governments to catch up. We're hoping building frameworks so they don't have to.
Totally, man. I mean, we had that seminal, we had that call out last week as well, or a few days ago, from leading researchers from the Big Five, talking about how the models were tricking them, and the gap is closing for being able to align these models. So it's never been more viscerally important, to verify that the weights and the outputs, and it's just, I feel like the window's shrinking. Obviously we have I've been, I know kind of what's going on as you do, Sam. There's a lot of institutional interest in this. There's a lot of stuff that probably you can't talk about, but I think that like on weight, like the whole, like a lot of industries are looking at this going, oh my God, like this is with quantum moving the way it is, with these graphene improvements, like it's moving exponentially quicker. So it's never been more important. But yeah, super cool, man. My last question I was going to ask you was about the analogy. I had like 5 questions talking about you drawing the analogy between verifiable AI as a seatbelt, and then how you can use the narratives, because a lot of people really love that analogy. which is really, really cool. Any other analogies you got for us, man?
Oh man, you put me on the spot. I mean, like, what are some
well, I mean, you've got a lot of people out here saying that it's going to be like, I've heard the analogy
even
that
having like a
AI is going
passcode
to be
on
akin
your
to
phone
the
or
writing.
something, you know, like
Yeah. HTTPS.
Yeah, the HTTPS of that's kind of probably too technical. I mean, like a lock on your door. Like, let's get just granular. Like,
yeah, totally.
It really is. Like, I'm shocked. You know, I was talking to one of Spotify's board members, you know, who's coming on as an advisor for us, and you know, so he's basically, you know, he cannot believe he's got a massive LinkedIn following. He's invested in OpenAI, Anthropic, you know, was on the board of Siri, Spotify, you know, and he's like, he can't see anything on LinkedIn. He can't see anything on LinkedIn. He was just texting me then anything about how excited he is about the identity product. But, you know, he can't see anything on LinkedIn about AI, you know, compliance. And when I say compliance, I mean, you know, privacy, you know, security, you know, and just like having protection over data, but also proving that actually AI is working as it says it is. And, you know, we have all this technology wrapped out. As we said, we've got this product, our first kind of product launching, you know, which is our Polyhedra ID, you know, and like just to give people behind the scenes, we have like the marketing copy team cooking, you, Luke, myself, Bart, and we have our UI UX team with Avra and the team. Then we have TC and all his researchers actually building the product. So we're putting, you know, then we're finding narrative, and, you know, we're just in that absolute cook phase. And then, you know, we're just going to have so many of these types of products that we're going to roll out. Like, it is going to be this whole entire end-to-end stack for proving identity, for proving if AI models are correct, you know,
Provenance.
For proving what's the ingredients of deep fake content, you know, like for rights holders and IP holders. Like, we're just going to keep having these. Like, the hardest thing is getting this first product out, you know, and TC is a fucking, you know, is a perfectionist. Like, what we're working with, you know, what makes exceptional people is this. I texted him this over the weekend, you know, is just what makes people exceptional is that quest for excellence, you know. And we have a couple of people in the team like that, you know, just doesn't care, you know, heats on, you know, other ZKML products are out there. He's like, no, I want to get ours right, you know. And yeah, we get this right. You know, people see this product actually be implemented into industries that have billions of users. Let's see, you know, let's see what people are saying about ZKJ and Polyhedra now.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's been proven, you know, I love TC, man. And obviously we've traveled with him a lot. And it's interesting because, like, you know, he is so singular minded. This product has to be 100% like the best product in market. It has to solve the problem 100%. There can't be any kind of like gaps. There can't be any vectors for attack. And he'll do that until it's done, and then he'll move on. And when we saw that with like ZK Bridge, and, you know, like, and you know, he does, and he's very singular minded in that. And it's obviously it's like we have all these enterprise solutions. It's amazing to see. I think that's brilliance, man. That's what brilliance is. It's what, like, you know, it's what, you know, genius is, you know, they won't be spread too far. They're singularly focused. They won't listen to the noise. They're just building, and they're building their vision and their dream, and they get it done. And then they've probably got like 5 other visions and dreams. So we're looking forward to what comes next, TC, man, after these products.
Hell yeah. On that note, Tony, man, I gotta bounce. I gotta keep going. You know, we'll do this again probably Friday. And Yeah, I think what would be great if let's try to get some let's try to research how we can do like StreamYard, like one of my
Bring people
friends
up on stage.
runs a sports channel. So it's like talk show radio. He sits on StreamYard for hours and just gets the community up. So I think next time we want to get people up, camera on, asking us live questions. So
Cool.
let's think on that,
Yeah,
man, and
let's do it.
work out how to do that. And yeah, man, Tony, I love doing this with you, man. Love your,
Likewise,
Tony's got a
appreciate it.
new short video coming out, and yeah,
check it out.
Let's hit it, boys.
All right.
Thanks.
Let's keep cooking. Thanks, Sam.
Oh yeah,
See you
man.
guys
See you,
next time.
Tony. Bye bye.